Picture this. A polished government office, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, a committee of very serious people in suits debating the nation's latest threat. It's not drugs, not weapons, not even TikTok. It's a yo-yo. Somewhere, someone in power once stared at a child's toy, a harmless disc on a string, and thought, this must be stopped. Welcome, dear reader, to the bureaucratic twilight zone, where logic comes to die and paperwork multiplies like radioactive rabbits. Over the next few chapters, we'll travel across continents and centuries, unearthing the most baffling, hilarious, and gloriously idiotic bans ever written into law. Grab your passport, hide your chocolate eggs, and hold on tight. The nanny state is about to tuck you in forever. 1. The Kinder Egg Conspiracy, America's tastiest crime. Ah, the Kinder Surprise Egg, a symbol of innocent joy and European smugness. Half chocolate, half toy, 100% illegal in the United States of freedom. Why? Because of a 1938 law banning non-nutritive objects inside candy. Apparently, Uncle Sam believes American children are uniquely incapable of not eating plastic. The rest of the world figured out the concept of don't swallow the toy, but US regulators decided to play it safe and ruin Easter. Customs agents have seized thousands of these criminal confections at the border. There are people who smuggled drugs with less scrutiny. It's not protection, it's paternalism with a sugar coating. 2. The Pine-Scented Menace. That little cardboard tree dangling from your mirror, you know, the one that smells like chemical pine and regret, could make you a criminal. In dozens of US states, hanging anything from your rearview mirror is illegal. Officially, it's obstruction of view. Unofficially, it's a convenient excuse to pull you over. Because nothing screams public safety like busting someone for the dangerous act of air freshening. Meanwhile, drivers juggle phones, GPS screens, and existential dread. But sure, blame the tree. 3. The Yellow Revolution. In Malaysia, 2016, the government took one look at the color yellow and said, this hue is treason. Protesters demanding electoral reform had chosen yellow as their rally color. The regime's response? Ban the shade. Literally, wearing yellow became an act of sedition. Imagine being arrested by a humorless policeman while shouting, "It's just a t-shirt!" Authoritarianism has many faces. Sometimes it's beige with a fear of bright colors. 4. Footloose, Oklahoma edition. Welcome to Elmore City, Oklahoma. Population? Pious. For nearly a century, dancing was illegal here. From the 1890s to 1980, local leaders decided that moving rhythmically to music was a gateway to hell, and possibly jazz. It took a group of high school kids, legal petitions, and a cultural uprising just to hold a prom. Their rebellion? Dancing. Their crime? Joy. If this sounds familiar, that's because Footloose was literally based on it. Life imitates art badly. 5. The Fortune Cookie Files. Inside every crispy crescent of a fortune cookie hides a message, a cliche, a prophecy, a coded escape plan. At least, that's what some high-security prisons believe. Inmates are banned from receiving fortune cookies because the slips of paper inside might be used to pass coded messages. Because clearly, that's the most efficient way to plan a jailbreak. Somewhere, a warden is reading a fortune. You will soon embark on a new journey. He squints. Is that a threat? 6. The Balloons of Environmental Doom. Nothing says celebration like a sky full of balloons. Unless you live in California, Florida, or Australia, where that same act is now an eco-crime. Balloons, it turns out, always come back down. Sometimes into oceans, sometimes into turtle stomachs. The result? A legal war on helium. Now, releasing balloons can earn you a fine. Birthdays have become moral dilemmas. The once whimsical act of letting go is now an environmental confession. Gravity wins again. 7. The Clothesline Conspiracy. Somewhere in suburban America, a woman hangs her freshly washed sheets on a clothesline and receives a warning letter from her homeowners association. Yes, in many neighborhoods, drying your laundry outdoors is banned. Why? Because it lowers property values. Translation: your underwear offends the aesthetic purity of beige suburbia. It's a war on sunlight, fought with bylaws and passive-aggressive emails. Freedom may ring, but not if your socks are showing. Number 8. The Great Sliced Bread Panic. The year 1943. The enemy: pre-sliced bread. In the midst of World War II, the US government banned sliced bread to conserve wax paper and steel. The result? Nationwide outrage. Housewives wrote to newspapers demanding their convenience back. Within 2 months, the government folded faster than a sandwich. Lesson learned: never ever mess with America's carbs. 9. The Swiss Toilet Curfew. Ah, Switzerland, land of order, neutrality, and the world's most polite dictatorships. In many Swiss apartment buildings, it's illegal to flush your toilet after 10 p.m. It's considered noise pollution. So there you are, standing in the dark, doing late-night calculus. Flush and risk neighborly wrath, or let it mellow till morning. It's the kind of law that could only come from a nation that measures peace in decibels. 10. The Denim Dictatorship. In North Korea, blue jeans are not just pants. They're propaganda. The regime banned them as symbols of American imperialism. You can wear other pants, just not denim. The logic? Too capitalist, too rebellious, too cool. So yes, in a country where starvation is rampant and dissent is deadly, the government also polices your fashion choices. Because nothing says stable leadership like fearing Levi's 501s. 11. Plastic bags, the enemy of the people. Once upon a checkout counter, the plastic shopping bag was a hero. Light, loyal, and ready to hold your groceries without complaint. Then, somewhere around 2010, the world decided it was the villain. Governments everywhere launched a holy war against the flimsy polyethylene servant. Overnight, it went from free convenience to planet killer. Now, you're forced to buy a thicker, eco-friendly bag, usually made of the exact same material, just with a marketing degree. It's environmental theater at its finest, guilt rebranded as progress. 12. The Red Pen Massacre. Remember that childhood trauma of seeing red ink all over your homework? Turns out that was psychological warfare. Educators decided the color red was too aggressive, too mean, too red. So they switched to purple and green, softer, more nurturing tones, as if your teacher were a therapist delivering bad news gently. Sweetheart, your essay is a catastrophe, but look, it's written in lavender. The future may be bright, but it's definitely not red. 13. The 9 a.m. vacuum scandal. In Victoria, Australia, even cleanliness has a curfew. By law, you can't use a vacuum cleaner before 9 a.m. on weekends. That's right, if you spill cereal at 8:55, you must sit in your crunchy shame for 5 eternal minutes. It's bureaucracy distilled to its purest form, a law that protects peace and quiet by criminalizing tidiness. Somewhere, a kangaroo sneezes louder than your Hoover, and no one bats an eye. 14. Men, umbrellas, and horse anxiety. In Monza, Italy, opening an umbrella near a horse is a crime, but only if you're a man. This ancient ordinance dates back to a time when horses ruled the streets and men, apparently, opened umbrellas like explosions. Women, lawmakers decided, did it with grace. The rule remains, lurking in dusty legal archives. It's part chivalry, part absurdity, and 100% Italian drama. A man, an umbrella, and a startled horse. The original slapstick. 15. The Venice Suitcase Rebellion. Venice, a city of water, romance, and noise complaints. Officials once tried to ban wheeled suitcases, claiming their click-clack over cobblestones was disturbing the peace. The penalty? 500 euros for daring to roll your luggage. They proposed only allowing soft-tired silent wheels. The world laughed loudly. Venice retreated. For now, the sound of rolling Samsonite still echoes, like the footsteps of a tourist uprising. 16. The selfie stick apocalypse. There was a time when humanity could not escape the selfie stick, a telescopic rod of pure narcissism. It dominated tourist attractions, concerts, even weddings. Until, blessedly, society snapped. Disney, museums, music festivals, they banned it everywhere. The reasons? Safety and sanity. Turns out nothing ruins a crowd faster than being whacked in the face by someone else's ego on a pole. It's one of the few bands that made the world a better place. 17. The Halloween arms race. Eggs. Toilet paper. Shaving cream. To the rest of us, harmless household goods. To small-town America in October, instruments of youthful anarchy. Every year around Mischief Night, towns enact temporary bans on these items for minors. A teenager buying eggs becomes a prime suspect. Cashiers become gatekeepers of morality. Sorry kid, no eggs after dark. Because clearly civilization's survival depends on stopping the Great Egg Rebellion of suburbia. 18. The light bulb extinction. For over a century, the incandescent bulb was humanity's metaphor for genius, the literal symbol of a bright idea. Then governments worldwide looked at that warm golden glow and said, too inefficient. In came the cold, sterile flicker of early LEDs. Light with all the warmth of an interrogation room. Yes, it saves electricity, but somewhere Edison's ghost is flickering in protest. 19. The spray paint caper. In Chicago, buying spray paint requires ID, suspicion, and sometimes divine approval. To fight graffiti, stores lock cans behind glass like radioactive waste. Need to repaint your patio chair? Prepare to be treated like a felon. It's a law born of paranoia, assuming every homeowner is a tagger in disguise. Street art or vandalism? Doesn't matter. Either way, you're getting carded. 20. The fork that offended nations. Europe and Canada declared war on plastic forks. Single-use plastics were banned in a noble crusade to save the planet, which is fine until you're trying to eat ramen with a wooden spork that tastes like driftwood and despair. Progress has a texture now. Rough, splintery, and just slightly humiliating. Somewhere a plastic fork weeps softly in a landfill, whispering, I was only trying to help. 21. The death of the bargain. BOGO no-go. Once upon a grocery aisle, the sacred phrase, buy one, get one free, was a siren song of consumer joy. Then came Belgium, with its uniquely European ability to turn fairness into farce. For years, the government banned all BOGO deals to protect small businesses from big corporations. A noble cause, perhaps. Except it also meant no one could get 2 frozen pizzas for the price of 1. The result? Justice for shopkeepers, misery for everyone else. Somewhere in Brussels, a bureaucrat high-fived himself for saving capitalism from itself. 22. Name denied. Denmark's baby list. In Denmark, even your baby must get government approval. The state keeps an official list of about 7,000 acceptable names. Anything outside that list requires written permission. If you want to name your child Zephyr, Banana, or Thor Jr. II, prepare for a bureaucratic duel. It's a society so well organized that creativity itself has to file an application. Imagine your newborn's first words being denied due to Section 3 of the Naming Act. 23. Dodgeball, outlawed at recess. Once, the schoolyard was a battlefield of rubber balls and pride. Then came the era of emotional safety. Across the US, schools banned dodgeball, calling it legalized bullying. The great equalizer of the playground, gone. Replaced by mindfulness exercises and conflict resolution circles. Sure, kids are less bruised now, but somewhere a red rubber ball sits deflated, whispering, we were character building, damn it. 24. Goldfish justice. Rome, Italy, the eternal city. A place where you can sip espresso in a 2,000-year-old plaza, but don't you dare put a goldfish in a round bowl. Local law deems it cruel to the fish, forcing owners to buy proper rectangular tanks. It's an oddly compassionate decree. The same city that once threw gladiators to lions now protects aquatic pets from architectural discomfort. We've evolved, but only sideways. 25. The Marmite incident. The Great British Yeast Spread, Marmite, comes with its own warning label. Love it or hate it. Denmark chose the latter. Authorities banned Marmite because it contained added vitamins not officially approved. In other words, it was too nutritious. Imagine confiscating someone's breakfast because it failed a bureaucratic purity test. It's the kind of law that happens when you confuse regulation with divine intervention. 26. The Great Pigeon Purge. There was a time when feeding pigeons in a park felt wholesome, a moment of cinematic peace. Now, in cities from Venice to London, it's a punishable offense. The birds were rebranded from symbols of peace to rats with wings. Entire urban departments now exist to repel them. Nets, spikes, even trained hawks that act as airborne bouncers. The message is clear. The modern city has no room for uninvited guests. 27. The clap ban. At several universities in the UK, clapping, yes, clapping, is banned. The logic? It's too loud and might trigger anxiety. Students are encouraged to perform jazz hands instead. A silent, synchronized flutter of empathy. And so, we've done it. We've officially made applause a microaggression. Somewhere, Beethoven is rolling in his grave. Quietly, so as not to offend. 28. Camo criminals. In Barbados, Jamaica, and several other Caribbean nations, wearing camouflage is illegal for civilians. The idea is to prevent people from impersonating soldiers, though no tourist in floral shorts ever came close. Still, the law stands. Wear camo, get fined, or even arrested. It's a war on fashion waged in tropical heat, where your outfit determines your criminal record. The irony? Military-style discipline applied to beachwear. 29. The Heelys menace. For a glorious 5 minutes in the early 2000s, children ruled the malls, gliding silently on sneakers with wheels in the heels. Then came chaos. Store aisles turned into crash zones. Grown adults were taken out by stealthy 8-year-olds doing 5 miles per hour figure eights near the canned goods. The response? A universal ban on Heelys. They weren't banned for danger, but for annoyance. And honestly, that's fair. 30. The water bottle paradox. You're thirsty. You reach for a plastic water bottle, and congratulations, you're a criminal. College campuses, U.S. national parks, even whole towns have banned single-use bottles to reduce waste. It's noble in theory, until you realize the alternative is buying a reusable plastic bottle shipped from China. So you pay extra to pollute less while polluting more. It's the eco-equivalent of patting yourself on the back with both hands tied in plastic rope. 31. The pinball prohibition. Cut to New York City, 1942. A smoky room. Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia stands beside a pile of confiscated pinball machines, looking like he just defeated organized crime. The charge? Gambling. The evidence? Silver balls and teenage joy. For over 3 decades, pinball was illegal in America's biggest cities. Police literally raided arcades, smashing machines with sledgehammers in the name of moral purity. The twist? It wasn't luck. It was skill. But by the time the courts realized that, an entire generation had grown up thinking flippers were a sin. The American dream. Built on freedom, terrified of fun. 32. Singapore, where gum meets doom. Singapore, that sleek, sparkling island state where even chaos is scheduled. But chew a piece of gum? That's contraband. The ban dates back to the early 90s, after vandals stuck gum on train doors causing delays. The government's response was pure authoritarian elegance. Outlaw the substance entirely. No imports, no sales, no sweet minty rebellion. Tourists smuggle gum like it's cocaine, chewing discreetly in hotel bathrooms. A city so clean it outlawed saliva. 33. The Buddha Barbie ban. In Sri Lanka, one tourist thought it'd be cute to get a tattoo of Buddha. The authorities disagreed. Foreigners have been detained, fined, and deported for tattoos, t-shirts, or trinkets depicting the Buddha, even respectful ones. The reason? Disrespect to religion. The irony? The country's airports sell Buddha souvenirs in every gift shop. Apparently, enlightenment is fine, as long as it's tax deductible. 34. Japan versus the waistline. In 2008, Japan declared war on fat people. The Metabo law requires companies to measure employees' waistlines annually. Men over 33.5 inches and women over 35.4 are flagged for lifestyle guidance. Imagine your HR department becoming your diet coach. It's national health policy as public shaming. Yes, life expectancy is high. So is collective anxiety. 35. The video game trial. Once upon a 1990s panic, Australia decided mature-rated video games were too spicy for its citizens. Titles like Grand Theft Auto, Left 4 Dead 2, and even Saints Row were banned outright. The nation that gave us crocodile hunters and poisonous spiders drew the line at polygonal violence. When the bans were finally lifted, players celebrated by doing exactly what the government feared: simulated chaos. 36. The Canadian Kinder ban, again. Not to be outdone by the US, Canada once cracked down on, you guessed it, Kinder eggs. Authorities worried about choking hazards. The same children who ice skate through blizzards and wrestle moose apparently couldn't handle chocolate engineering. Border agents have actually confiscated them from travelers. It's the only candy that comes with a potential criminal record. 37. The lip sync suppression. In Turkmenistan, live performance means live. President Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, yes, really, banned lip syncing, calling it an insult to national culture. Pop stars were forced to prove they were singing for real, sometimes mid-performance, a cappella, trembling under the watchful gaze of the Ministry of Sincerity. Somewhere, a boy band member screamed in silence. Legally. 38. The nightlife nap time. Picture Tokyo. Neon lights, endless streets, 3 a.m. karaoke. Now imagine dancing illegal. For decades, Japan enforced the Fueho law, banning public dancing after midnight unless the venue had a special license. It was a relic of post-war moral codes, forgotten but never repealed. So clubbers danced in secret, whispering to DJs like spies in the Cold War. A country that gave us the Walkman somehow criminalized rhythm. 39. The 1-2 pigeon punch. In San Francisco, a man once got fined for feeding pigeons with rice near Union Square. His crime? Unauthorized avian engagement. City officials had declared war on birds decades earlier, posting signs that read, "Do not feed, it's against the law." The result? Underground pigeon feeders. Retirees meeting in dawn's gray light, scattering crumbs in quiet defiance. If rebellion has a soundtrack, it's Wings. 40. The Saggy Pants Saga. America's moral guardians needed a new enemy. They found it in baggy jeans. From Louisiana to Georgia, cities passed ordinances banning sagging pants that revealed underwear. Police wrote tickets for visible boxers. Mayors held press conferences about decency. The laws were later struck down, but not before dozens were fined, and one city spent millions enforcing waist-height morality. You can't legislate taste, but they sure tried. 41. The unholy haircut. North Korea, land of one haircut to rule them all. Kim Jong-un decreed that citizens could choose only from a list of approved hairstyles. 15 for men, 18 for women. No long hair for men, no punk spikes, no foreign styles. Barbershops became ideological checkpoints. A nation of identical heads marching in obedient synchronization. The ultimate victory of state over style. Somewhere, a comb cries softly in the dark. 42. The toasted bread ban. In Scotland, a cafe once faced legal action for selling a deep-fried Mars bar, an unofficial national treasure. But that was only the beginning. Health officials briefly considered banning the practice altogether, citing public risk and culinary nihilism. Imagine a government trying to save you from your own cholesterol. They didn't ban whiskey. They banned joy. 43. The Inflatable Rebellion. Summer 2018, Spain's Costa del Sol. Tourists were fined for using large inflatables on public beaches. Unicorns, flamingos, even inflatable pizzas. The reasoning? Obstructing lifeguard vision. So, while the Mediterranean sparkled with freedom, you couldn't float on a donut without becoming an administrative hazard. Civilization collapses not with a bang, but with a squeaky pool toy. 44. The Toaster Tyranny. South Korea, 1990s. Customs officers began confiscating imported toasters. Why? They posed a fire risk. Not explosives, not narcotics, toasters. It became a black market commodity. Students smuggled them in luggage. Hotel guests whispered, "Do you have bread? Every slice became an act of quiet rebellion. The revolution will not be microwaved. 45. The unicorn Frappuccino fallout. For one brief caffeinated week, Starbucks unleashed the Unicorn Frappuccino, a pastel sugar bomb designed for Instagram. It was banned from several coffee chains and schools within days. The reasons ranged from hyperactivity risk to emotional overstimulation. Some cities even petitioned to outlaw it permanently. In the end, it wasn't a beverage. It was a cultural panic in a cup. 46. The garden gnome prohibition. In France, several upscale neighborhoods banned garden gnomes, calling them visual pollution. What began as a fight for elegance became a war on whimsy. Residents staged gnome liberation fronts, stealing statues from lawns and photographing them in tourist spots. Paris, Rome, London, before mailing the photos back with ransom notes. When rebellion looks like ceramic beards, you know civilization has jumped the fence. 47. The Netflix chill crackdown. In Iran, government censors banned Barbie, Simpsons, and most Western cartoons for being morally corrupting. Then came streaming. Officials tried to block Netflix, claiming it was soft Western infiltration. The population responded with VPNs, secret viewings, and coded slang for movies. A society where love scenes are illegal, but corruption is televised nightly. Irony so thick you could censor it too. 48. The drone zone. From Dubai to Morocco, drones are restricted or outright banned. For safety reasons. The official story? Airspace control. The real one? Fear of citizens seeing too much from above. It's a new kind of sky law. One where freedom of flight belongs only to the government. Birds, for now, remain unlicensed. 49. The emoji crackdown. In Saudi Arabia, even text messages weren't safe from moral scrutiny. For a time, censors combed through digital conversations, hunting for inappropriate emoji use. Flirty faces, red hearts, tiny symbols of affection, reclassified as immoral communication. Yes, you could get in trouble for sending a flirty wink. Picture it. Two teenagers whispering through glowing screens, risking everything for the forbidden language of pixels. Love finds a way, even when the government and autocorrect are both working against it. 50. The death of the duck. And finally, Australia's most tragic hero, the rubber duck. Once a staple of bath time innocence, it was banned from some daycare centers for being a hygiene hazard. Children cried. Parents protested. Bureaucrats shrugged. The duck, stripped of its wings and dignity, was replaced by a sanitized, pre-approved aquatic learning implement. Thus ended the golden age of squeak. So here we are, 50 bans, 50 glimpses into the human soul, terrified of its own reflection. From chocolate eggs to hairstyles, gum to jeans, the pattern is always the same. When in doubt, outlaw it. Governments promise safety, but what they really sell is control. Shrink-wrapped, signed, and enforced with a smile. The more rules we write, the more absurd we become. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real cosmic joke. We don't fear chaos. We fear freedom, because it never comes with instructions.